Today, I'd like to read the story to you by Robert E. Wells called Can You Count to a Googol? If you're looking for a really big number, it certainly won't be one. One is the number of bananas you can balance on your nose, if you're a good banana balancer. Put a 0 after a 1 and it becomes 10. Whenever you put a 0 after a number, it makes that number 10 times bigger. 10 bananas would be a lot of bananas for a monkey to balance, but of course, 10 is still very small. 10 times 10 is 100. Would you call 100 big? Well, no matter what you call it, it's a lot of balanced bananas. Perhaps 100 eagles could take you on a scenic ride high in the sky, if they were willing. But if you're searching for a really, really big number, you still have a very long way to go. 10 times 100 is 1,000. If 100 penguins and each had 10 scoops of ice cream in a cone, that would be 1,000 scoops of ice cream. 1,000 is starting to get big, but don't stop there. 10 times 1,000 is 10,000. That's certainly much bigger. If it rained 10,000 pennies, they'd fill 10 piggy banks like these. 10 times 10,000 is 100,000. If you had 100,000 marshmallows, you could put them in 100 baskets, 1,000 marshmallows in each basket. Yes, you could say 100,000 is very big, especially if you had to eat that many marshmallows. But 1 million is 10 times bigger. It looks like this. 1 million. Sometimes great distances are easier to measure in millions, such as the distance between the Earth and the Sun. That's about 93 million miles. A million is also useful for measuring long periods of time, such as the number of years that have passed since dinosaurs last roamed the Earth. That's been about 65 million years. If you put $1 million bills in a money stacking and packing machine, they'd fill a crate about this size. Ten times 1 million is 10 million, or 10 million, and if we put a dollar in front of it, $10 million. 10 times $10 million is $100 million, or $100 million. That's what it looks like. 10 times $100 million is $1 billion, or $1 billion. What would you do with $1 billion? A billion is a mighty big number, but, of course, 10 billion is 10 times bigger. It looks like this. 10 billion. Some stars in our Milky Way galaxy are 10 billion years old. Our sun is a star. It's not that old yet, but someday it might be. It began to form about 5 billion years ago and will probably last at least 5 billion more years. 10 times 10 billion is 100 billion. That's a tremendous number, but as tremendous as it is, there are more than that many stars in our galaxy. Here are a few of them. A trillion is an enormous, huge number. It's 10 times as big as 100 billion. It looks like this. 1 trillion. A trillion is just the right size to help you think about the enormously huge distances between stars in our galaxy. It's about 25 trillion miles from our sun to the next star, Proxima Centauri. If you traveled at the speed of light, that trip would take over 4 years. But numbers certainly don't stop at a trillion. Here are three of the many numbers that are much bigger. Add 3 zeros to a trillion to get a quadrillion. 3 more zeros make a quintillion. How many zeros in an octillion? Well, we could count them, but there are lots of them in an octillion. If you're looking for a terrifically huge, amazingly stupendous, gigantic, mammoth sized number, a Googol it is. A Googol has 100 zeros. It's hard to imagine just how big a Googol is. If you counted every grain of sand on all the world's beaches and every drop of water in all the oceans, that wouldn't even be close to a Googol. If you kept on counting till you'd counted every star, planet, moon, comet, and asteroid in our whole galaxy, that number still would be much smaller than a Googol. There's no use trying to count to a Googol. It's just too big. A Googol is bigger than the number of atoms in the whole universe. But even a Googol isn't the biggest number because numbers never end. No matter how big a number is, you can always add on another zero, and that makes it 10 times bigger. You'll never come to the biggest number. You can keep adding on zeros forever. Did you ever wonder just how far forever is? And that is the story titled Can You Count to a Googol by Robert E. Wells. I hope you enjoyed it.